Penguins beat the Preds, so all's good.
Amen.
Nice.
Amen.
Did you watch the game?
Yeah.
Everyone wants to watch college football. I watch that. Well, they had to win. They lost 10-1 to the Blackhawks the night before.
The whole state probably didn't watch the game.
You think their defensive coordinator got drilled after that one? What's 10-1 the equivalent of? 77 to 3?
100.
Yeah.
100.
Oh, just about, right?
Like 100 to 1.
Okay.
We'll start with, I guess, Daryl's suspended. What happens to the D-line?
I know Coach already addressed that situation, so I'll let his statements stand. But, to me, I always talk to the players about this. It's next man up mentality, and it's an opportunity. And I'm really looking forward. Kyle Phillips has played fairly well, and obviously he'll get the start with Kongbo. And it's an opportunity now for Matt Butler and DeAndre Johnson, two young players who have – DeAndre had a good game against Indiana State, and Matt Butler has practiced really, really hard and pretty well and had a good bye week. So, those are the four guys that will ride and go from there. And then on passing downs, you may see – some creativity, maybe put Austin Smith in there and do some things, put him as a fourth rusher or something along those lines, put our best pass rushers in.
How ready do you feel like DeAndre and Butler are, given that they maybe haven't played very much?
It's like, what do they do? What's the mother do with a little baby when they're teaching to swim? Just throw him in, man. DeAndre's played. He's been in the rotation throughout the course of the year, so I'm not too concerned about him. Matt, he's very diligent. He's a hard worker. Probably his best quality is also his worst quality, in that he's very, very hard on himself. Every mistake is the end of the world. So we just, I'm really looking forward to seeing him play, and it'll be a great experience for him to play against a really good South Carolina team.
You have used Phillips a couple times in a tackle, so is that still an option if Austin?
Till we run out of guys, we've done that to try to put we had we discussed a couple weeks ago trying to put our best four pass rushers in the game and do some of our different things, and whether we played some 3-down against Georgia and ran some blitzes, and Galden and Jumper have started to become really pretty good blitzers. And then, like you said, in our 4-down stuff, moved one of our outside guys inside, and that's been Kyle. We'll continue to evaluate that. And if DeAndre and Matt outside and Kyle inside is the best, then we'll stay with that. And if not, Vickers is a good player, and those inside guys know the package inside and out. We just want to get good guys on the field who can rush the quarterback.
What about Austin? Where is I know you're not the trainer, but where is he kind of in his progression? How close is he to?
I think he's ready to go this week. Good seeing him back for the bye week, and got some work last week. And obviously when you sit out 4 or 5 weeks, you're a little bit rusty. And 2 weeks prior to that, his preparation was for Georgia Tech. So that's a little bit different now. But Austin's got a great attitude. He's eager to get going, and Austin is one of those guys who, the name on the front of the jersey is more important than the name on the back of his jersey. He'll do whatever it takes to help the team be successful.
They lost Samuel. Obviously, that was a big blow for them. But what do you say out of their skill with Hirsch and Edwards and those guys?
Yeah, I'm not gonna cry a river that Samuel's not playing. He has, he's really good, whether it's in the return game or as a receiver or jet sweeps, screens, things like that. But he's a very, very good player. Had a nice feel with Bentley. But you're exactly right. I mean, it starts, Bentley's a real savvy type guy. He's not like a coach on the field. Father's obviously a coach. He started, I think his second game was against us last year. And he's really continued to develop. He's got 12 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, thrown for 240, 250 yards a game. They have 3 solid running backs. Dowdle's starting to get healthy again. The other guys, they're very, very efficient. They're very productive. They make yards. They fall forward. They do what it takes. And then at the skill positions, I loved Hurst last year, and I love him this year. First of all, I love him because he was in the Pirates organization for a little while, and I don't know how far he made it, and I kind of wish he'd have stayed in baseball. But he's a really unique athlete. To me, he's a pro tight end. I mean, he's big, he's fast, he's strong, he can catch. Hell, they run the jet sweep with him. I've seen him throw double passes, things like that. So he's a true weapon for them, and allows them to, line up in 11 and 12 personnel groupings, but line up in a lot of spread sets. And the guy who's really emerged as of lately is Edwards, number 89. He's big. He really, they often talk about 50-50 balls. With him, it's more like 80-20. He's got a nice knack for going up in the crowd and catching the ball. Bentley, that's what he does really well. They're playing with a lot of confidence, and they just lob it up there, and Edwards goes and gets the ball and has done really, really well the last couple of weeks with regard to that. That's when you look at him on film, that's what you see, a confident football team.
Having just faced Nada, does that help you defend Hirsch at all, or do they use them completely differently?
They use him a little bit differently. Not as a really good player too. I don't want to compare or anything like that. I'm a fan of both of those guys. And unfortunately, I got to compete against them. These guys Georgia probably has more weapons, and I don't mean to disparage South Carolina. Georgia probably does different. They got X amount of running backs, all the wide receivers. Where I'd say Hurst is their number one guy. I would say Nada isn't necessarily Georgia's number one guy, but when they look to him, it's very effective getting the ball to him.
They didn't have three of their starting offensive linemen last week. They're talking about them maybe being back this week. How do you evaluate who you might go up against?
Yeah, we've watched all the games, and we know some of the guys from last year, and we think at least two of them will be back as well. And we're going to have to play well up front. I mean, early in the season, they were probably a throw first, run second team. They average under 100 yards a game rushing, 3 yards a rush, but they've gotten better each week. In the games that they've won, they've run the ball pretty efficiently. And in the games that they've lost, whether it be the fact that they were behind and having to throw, or that's what they chose to do. So still our objective is to do our best to stop the run, and that's what we need to do to win the game.
Can you measure Nigel Warrior now versus the guy that got thrown into the fire last year when Evan Berry, I think your starting safety was out, your two went out, and Nigel got thrown in. How far has he come since that game last year?
I'm glad you asked that, because Nigel and I were talking about that today, as a matter of fact, because I thought Nigel, I haven't seen you guys since the Georgia game, and I'm not going to sit here and say we played well against Georgia. But I thought for 2.5, 3 quarters we played hard, and he really made some good open field tackles. He made some big league safety tackles, and I had a conversation today about, Coach might have said to you guys, I don't know if he did or didn't. There's 14 teams in our league, 10 have 2 or more losses. In the NFL, there's 32 teams. 21 of the 32 NFL teams are 3-2 or 2-3. The nature of the beast is that it's competitive. We're playing against good teams week in, week out. And we still have a chance to be a really good team. That's what we need to do. We need to get our eyes focused in the right direction and take care of South Carolina this week. And that's what he's done a good job of. He stayed focused. Has he had his moments where he's been an immature kid? Yeah, but those are few and far between now. And Georgia was a real bright spot for him. He competed really, really well. And he and I had a long conversation about, some individual goals for him today. Hey, you can emerge as a leader for this team. You can be an all-conference candidate now. You need to play the pass a little bit better. You need to be a little bit more vocal. You need to take that leadership role. And I just reminded him that I had his back. And one of the things I like Nigel a lot, and he and I have a good relationship. I said, "We good?" He's, "Coach, you're my guy." So I got you. So I was pretty excited to hear him say that, because I think Nigel has tremendous potential, and watching him grow has been really, really kind of fun. And I'm not going to sit here and say he hasn't had some slip-ups, but he's for the most part been a really positive player in 2017.
That's one more guy.
What's made Colton such a good blitzer? And is that, I know you've gone to bat for the guy a lot. You said he's a good player, but is that part of his game been a surprise?
That's all 8 redhead guys with freckles. The guy's a good football player, and the reason he's a good player, and it's funny that you said that. The Monday after the Georgia game when we came in, here's a guy who has 4.5 sacks, 7.5 tackles for loss. I believe he's in the top X amount in the country in each of those statistics. The reason he's good is because he gets the most out of his ability. If he, I watch him in the meeting. He's taking notes as I review the game plan. I watch him in walkthrough. He's coordinating the whole defense, pointing where everybody should go. Every rep in practice is as close to game speed as you can be in practice. He's never out of position. So to me, that's half the battle. And the good defenses that I've coached in the past haven't had necessarily 4- and 5-star athletes, but they've had guys with high football intellect, which he has, and tremendous desire to play the game. He loves the game, and he loves to play the game, and that's what makes him unique. And I think there's probably a lot of linebackers in our conference that maybe were more highly recruited than him that don't have 4.5 sacks and 7.5 tackles for loss after 5 games. So I give him a lot of credit. When his number's called, he makes the play for the most part.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Coach Scott right here.
I'll go.